to The Back Cover, the podcast that explores the classic soul music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'm Karen Williams. Join me and my co-host Steve Williams, no, we're not related, as we flip over the album covers and share stories of the movers and shakers that created, wrote, and produced those iconic sounds. We'll educate and entertain you, all while keeping the music alive.
Today is the day that we go to the last soul house in the South. And whether you know it or not, they really, really are that still producing music and keeping a lot of artists that would probably not be recording.
So they're still recording?
Yeah, the ones that they've got signed. Today we salute Malaco Records. It's called the Malaco Music Group now. It houses the largest and the oldest catalog in the world, over 150 years. Malaco Records, Savoy Records, Win Records, along with its distributed label, the MalacoGospelRadio.com, you will have more than you can listen to. And here's a little something. Malaco Records is an American independent record label based in Jackson, Mississippi, United States, that has been the home of various major blues artists and gospel acts, such as Johnny Taylor, Bobby Bland, ZZ Hill, Denise LaSalle, Lattimore, Dorothy Moore, Little Milton, Shirley Brown, Tyrone Davis,
The superstar,
Marvin Cease, who's deceased now, and the Mississippi Mass Choir. It has received on historic marker issued by the Mississippi Blues Commission to commemorate an important piece of the Mississippi Blues Trail or location. Now, a tornado on April 15th, 2011, destroyed much of the company's main building and studio at 3023 West Northside Drive in Jackson, Mississippi, which have since been rebuilt. Now, check this out. It used to be a Coca-Cola bottling company, that old building.
When did they move into that building? You know.
I don't know the exact date, but I want to say it had to be the late 60s.
Okay.
I want to say it's the late 60s. Now, what happened? Tornado destroyed it, man. Took only thing that was left over, and I remember that, was the masters. They housed their own masters there.
They were smart.
Very smart.
Because, see, Sony still won't tell people how many masters they lost in that giant fire in California.
Huge.
I mean, basically, they've been like hush, hush. But Malaco was smart.
Yeah, them and a few others.
A few others, yeah.
Malaco Incorporated was founded in 1962. You didn't know that, did you? By Tommy Couch and Mitchell Miloff. That's how they came up with both of his names. Initially as a booking agency in 1967, the company opened a recording studio in a building that remains the home of Malaco to this day. Experimenting with local songwriters and artists, the company began producing master recordings. Malaco needed to license their early recordings with established labels for national distribution. Between 1968 and 1970, Capitol Records handled it for them, released 6 singles, and a Grammy Award-nominated album by Mississippi Fred McDowell. Revenue from the record release was minimal. However, a Malaco survived doing jingles, booking bands, promoting concerts, and renting the studios for custom projects. Any questions?
No.
Oh, now, as I can remember, as far back as my history takes me, and I'm not gonna. I don't even have that on this script here, but I'm gonna find Malaco's very first song, and when I play it, you're gonna say, "What? That was their first song?"
You mean as Malaco?
Well, let me find it right quick. As Malaco, what they were doing was they found out that, what they were doing, Stax had just went under.
Okay.
Stax had a lot of artists. These artists had, at that time, nowhere to go. So what they were doing was they were getting all of their resources together to sign these artists. And one of the first artists they signed was on their label. Jackson, Mississippi has a nickname. It's called Chimneyville. And the reason why they called it Chimneyville, because in the Civil War, all the houses were burned down. Mm-hmm. So only thing that was left were chimneys.
Okay.
All right, you got that? So what they did was they took the name. And when they took the name, although they were a reputable record company then, they were making their money off of jingles and renting the studios and all of that. But they didn't have any distributorship.
So, okay, so they started, let me go back because you confused me. They had a record company named Malaco, but they took on the name Chimneyville?
No, they had a record company called Chimneyville.
Before Malaco?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
See,
well,
Malaco,
you didn't say that.
Okay, I know. Malaco is the combination of
the names.
Their names.
Right.
Got it?
Got that.
All right.
But Chimneyville
was the first official label. Now, if you have this song, all you got to do is look on it, and it'll show you what I'm trying to tell you. The first song by Chimneyville Records,
which is Malaco.
which was Malaco Productions at that time.
Okay.
Here's the first record issued by Malaco. But let me tell you this. It was hard to get it played, and it was hard to get people to distribute it for them. But once they got it distributed and started playing it, it made millions. I want to give you the opportunity to see if you can guess.
You already told me a long time ago what it was, so I'm not going to
What
spoil
I tell
it for
you
people.
was I'm gonna see if you remember.
I don't remember. It was a woman's record.
No,
It was Johnny Taylor.
no.
It was.
And your mama and auntie, if they were drinkers and smokers,
They didn't drink and smoke.
well, I'm just saying, some folks that did,
My cousin Blanche did.
they know this song by 2 words. Because when you do something really, really, really kicking it in the hood, what's the 2 words somebody gonna say? Oh,
Shooky shooky now.
sookie sookie now. You know, back in the day when you bought albums and 45s and things of that nature, they had what was called notes. They had notes that came along with the album, or it was even some notes in the cassettes at the time, and the CDs.
And the CDs.
And all you had to do was look at them and read
them, and you could find out who was playing on the CD, and if you had a particular like I like saxophone solos and piano solos, and if they came up, bridges and stuff, I'm like, who is playing that? Flip over the back of the album, and they tell you who was playing saxophone or piano or whatever.
See, Malaco needed to license their early recordings with established labels. Between 1968 and 1970, Capitol Records released 6 singles and a Grammy Award-nominated album for Malaco. And this thing here just could not get played.
What?
Groove Me.
Why? I wonder. That's a nice little song.
Yeah, for there was talk about why certain companies had certain names of certain artists. Motown so beautifully loved to put on their marquee up Hitsville.
Hitsville, USA.
If you go south, Stax put on their marquee
Soulsville.
Come on. You're feeling it now, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And Johnny Taylor used to say Johnny sings Southern Soul because Stax was based in the South. So they gave him that little thing called a little nickname. He's singing Southern Soul because if you really listen to Johnny Taylor, and especially in the early days of Johnny, after he came out of gospel, he was preaching and singing at the same time.
Okay.
That's where the word soul comes from. The secular of the nightclub, and then you mix that with the spiritual and the gospels, if you will, and put it all together, straight up soul.
So what niche did Malaco have?
Here's what happened.
Okay.
Follow me if you will.
Okay.
Around, I want to say the middle 70s to late 70s, Malaco was looking for investments. Their very first investment was that song, Groove Me, Eddie Floyd. Got it?
Right.
It made them millions.
Okay.
So now they were ready to go. They were ready to cut their own. They had their own studio. They didn't have to pay for any studio time. They had their own local musicians, which they still have.
Okay.
And they're local artists.
Okay.
Got it? Then they put together their own promotion staff, which I had the pleasure of serving on for 5 years. The first person that they actually signed to Malaco Records, official artist, was Bobby Blue Bland. You see, Bobby and BB were both on ABC Records. And then they went over to MCA Records. But they couldn't stay there. Because here comes New Edition, here comes all that new jack sound. So, they signed Bobby Blue Bland. His first album was, you ready? You know it.
No,
Members Only.
Oh, Members Only. I love Members Only. Makes me cry.
I want to say that song, that song itself, that album.
So they kind of rescued Bobby Blue Bland.
They rescued each other.
Okay.
Cause see, a record.
Well, in the late 70s, a New Edition wasn't out. So
No.
Okay.
Just keep hearing me now.
All right. Okay.
The way they rescued each other was that gave them a well-known artist.
Okay.
And see what Bobby was doing, what was happening. Bobby was the only official blues singer. All these other people I'm getting ready to tell you about were just R&B of their time. But when they moved over to Malaco, people thought that they were blues. They put that moniker on them, blues, and they weren't blues singers. They may have had a few bluesy songs. But the only two were BB actually and Bobby Blue Bland.
Okay.
But B never left ABC or MCA. Now, this is the really crazy one here to me. A lot of these artists they knew from the past. ZZ Hill was a blues singer out of Texas. And I remember the night BB died, ZZ died. I was working Meridian, WQIC, and he had a show that night. As a matter of fact, he had 2 shows. He did the 2 shows, and on the way back to Texas that night at a truck stop, he had a massive heart attack. ZZ Hill. But now when you lose one, ZZ put money back in their pockets as well as a company. There's a song called Down Home Blues. It was running rampant in the South. Couldn't get no airplay up north or over east or out west. A friend of mine that I hung out with at the conventions, name, if you're in New York or somewhere like that, you should know his name. Well, when I say his name, you should know it. His name, Frankie Crocker, WBLS, played Down Home Blues 3 times and one day. It hit the charts with a vengeance and never stopped. But at this time, ZZ was gone. Well, you lose one, here comes another. Mm-hmm. At the services of ZZ Hill, Johnny Taylor sang a solo. Before he could get out of the door of the church, Tommy Couch and Stuart Madison pulled him to the side and said, hey, man, we want you. They signed Johnny for $250,000 in 2 days. Malaco issues 1 album per year. 1. Did you get all that?
Okay. I was, I told you I found this interview by one of the historian and one of the people who was involved, Wolf Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the second period of Malaco took place in the early 80s when they became the home for soul artists who are considered to be past their prime because disco, funk, and then hip-hop took over the black music market. And they were classified as has-beens.
Right. They right.
But Malaco opened their arms to them and just brought them on in.
Now, here we go. Johnny Taylor. At one time was one of the greatest, one of the best R&B singer around. Of course, Johnny came out of gospel into doo-wop, into soul. Mm-hmm. And what happened, Johnny attended the funeral services of ZZ Hill.
Question. Mm-hmm. When did ZZ Hill die?
About 3 days after he left Meridian, Mississippi.
And what year was that?
It had to be in the middle 80s because I was still in college, and I saw the last show.
Okay.
And Johnny attended the funeral.
Okay.
He was not signed to anyone at the time because Columbia had just went under, and they didn't want to deal with him again.
Why?
Well, sometimes Johnny had temper tantrums, things like that.
Okay.
Hey, Pete, this ain't, and he didn't like to halfway do nothing. He wanted it right the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Long story short, Tommy Couch, Wolf Stevenson, and also Mr. Stuart Madison, which are the owners of Malaco Records. Johnny did a solo at ZZ's funeral. He did it so well, people were just torn up. About some hours after the funeral procession, they caught Johnny, cut off the limo, and Stuart, also along with Tommy Couch, said, hey, man, that was just wonderful. We'd like to sign you to Malaco Records. Of course, in Johnny's words, who the hell is Malaco? And it was said that it was Stuart Madison that wrote down on a piece of paper, this is what we want you. This is how much we would give you to sign with our company. Oh, really? We already got Bobby Blue Bland. We had ZZ. We have Denise LaSalle. How would you like to be the next on the list? He says, is this number right? Yeah, the number was $270,000. One album per year. Next thing you know, they were in the studio, and this is what they came out with. See, Stuart forgot, and Tommy forgot that Johnny was also a gospel singer. Mm-hmm. And this particular cut they delivered was with the Jackson Southerneers, new to the company, but on the gospel side. They needed a lead singer because Huey Williams didn't want to sing it. Johnny, would you do this for us? And this is what came out. Now, to me, it's a special song because my great-grandmother loved it. Because that's the only thing, she only knew a few lyrics.
Okay.
So I would put the station on, and she would plug it up when I got to work. I still love this song because it reminds me of her. Okay. And this is Johnny Taylor with the Jackson Southerneers. I went to 27 stores, and I also went to at least 18 radio stations. That was my job, and I did it well.
And what did you do? Encourage them to play the records or just give them the records?
Well, of course, you have to service them, so they have to have it in order to play it.
Right.
So your job is to convince them, hey, man, this is a hit here.
So you're sort of like a salesman.
That Dave, promotion men promote.
They promote the artist.
The artist as well. Like, for instance, my first CD that I worked for Malaco was Johnny Taylor's Good Love.
Okay.
And the album was great, but the company wanted to promote Good Love as a single. Mm-hmm. It was the title album CD cut.
Okay.
But when we got it out, by the time we got it out, it took maybe a good month to get it out to the various radio stations throughout the country. But something happened. Somebody took the CD and started playing not Good Love, which is what the company wanted it to be the first single. They started playing, you ready?
What?
Last $2. They were mad. They were angry.
But, I would think it didn't matter which one that hit.
Oh, no.
It does.
It does matter. For instance, another time that happened with another record company, Stax, Green Onions.
Right.
That was the B-side. Green Onions were. Mm-hmm. The other side was Soul Limbo. So, as we would go back around to the various markets and everything, man, y'all wrong on that. And Johnny was mad about it too. But one thing happened at the shows that we did not foresee. People started throwing money at Johnny Taylor.
Oh, so then it became a good song.
They were throwing $2, $5, and then somebody hit him with a quarter one night. Hey, Pete, don't throw me no damn change. He was very strict about that, but it was something to laugh at.
Right.
Laugh. Believe me. So they called us back to Jackson, And we had various meetings. What are y'all doing? Why are they playing that? And I can tell you, as being a radio personality or a guy that, sometimes you have to make changes like that if the album is not selling. And it was the public and the DJs that you can't flip over a CD.
Right.
Now, what happens is Malaco issues one album per year. And that album has usually got 18 songs on them.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you say they issue one album a year, you mean per artist?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
You hear that?
Yeah, I heard
Okay. And what happened, instead of, one thing I try to tell new artists that still want me to work their albums or records, only issue a single at a time. Don't give anybody a whole album, because they're going to play what they like instead of playing what you need them to play in order to chart.
So let me ask you this question. Why is it that you have to have that certain record to chart? Why wouldn't...
It's your best possible chance of getting chart, because if it's a good record... Now think about it. Think about how many times people ask about Last $2. It's a
Right.
it's a
Yeah,
novelty. Yeah, right.
Friday,
and I'm gonna get in here today.
Okay.
It's a novelty song,
Right.
but Good Love is not.
Okay.
And people were buying the CDs that were already out and playing Last $2. Well, watch out. We had a meeting and we told the board, man, we should have never dropped that CD altogether. Never. Because they picked out what they liked. Got it?
I still don't see the problem with that. If the public likes it and they're buying it for that particular cut,
Well, Last $2.
still a buy.
Last $2 wasn't a single though.
But that made the album.
Good Love was the single.
But that made the album,
Sort of, kind of.
go up.
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
I don't know. Okay. I would be like, whatever.
Now,
If it plays and y'all like it, hey, buy it.
if,
But if you choose it,
okay.
then,
Now, as far as Bobby Blue Bland is concerned, this was not the single, but this was the song that broke the whole album. Because when you make a song and the majority of sisters like it, it will sell. But they want you to stand on it. That means play it all the time. You play it so much you get just tired of it.
well, imagine how you get tired if you were the artist having to sing it.
Yeah. You know, 5 years that I worked for Malaco, I learned so much about the record side of the business. And when you learn one side, they sort of kind of make sense to each other, It was fun. At times, it was a lot of work, too. But the part that I liked about it, talking to the artists about things they had forgotten about or things they thought I was too young to know. And it made me felt really, really, really good about our black music that still resonates to today.
Right.
Tommy Stewart and Wolf. Man, I would walk all over Malaco. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. And see what Malaco also owned, here you go, a barbecue joint. Right up my alley, baby. And we went there for lunch a lot of times.
Okay.
Hot Rhythm and Blue, that was the name of it.
Okay.
I went places that I never thought I would go as a child. I worked with people that I never thought I'd ever meet as a young man. And I saw how things really, really, really work. And I thank my friend. I was trying to get in touch with her, but I understand. Her name, Thomasine Anderson.
Okay.
One of the best people or persons you could work for. So I thank her so much for the way I got the job. I was at a convention, and they had we were doing some seminars, and I had just Dusty Radio 1390 had just let a lot of us go. And I went to the convention because a friend of mine invited me. And we were just lollygagging around. And I said, excuse me. Everybody was introducing themselves. And I said, my name is Steve Williams. I'm the program and music director of WHOME. Right now, we don't have a format, but I'm working on one really, really, really hard. Man, somebody said, man, where the hell is WHOME? I said, it's in Chicago right now. And we went on from there. Thomasine pulled me over after the convention seminars were over. She said, you're the same Steve Williams from York, Alabama. I said, yeah, I know you. Because I had a real good relationship with Mr. Bill Glover, who's no longer with us. She said, have you ever thought about working records? I said, no, but I'm willing. It's got a check. Boy, yeah, it's got a check. And I went back with her to Jackson. They took care of me. And next thing I knew, we want somebody for the Midwest. We needed somebody for the Midwest. They were working on the Upper East, West Coast and everything. They had no one in the Midwest. They said, well, this is what we're going to offer you. They wrote down on the check, on the piece of paper. I was like, oh, yeah, this thing, yeah.
Thanks for listening to The Back Cover. You can catch The Back Cover on TuneIn, Stitcher, and MyTuner. You can also listen to our show, The Ride Home, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Central Standard Time on www.thesoundofsoul.net. Please have your friends and family like and subscribe to our podcast.